What is going on, crew? Today we're going to go over a case study of my client Steve and talk to you guys a little bit about what we did with him to help him transform his life, to go from being obese to now having abs. It's a pretty significant transformation, and I think that the process we used and what we're going to break down in this video is going to be really directly applicable to somebody out there who's trying to get a similar result. Comment down below if this video is helpful for you, and make sure you stay to the end. Take care, guys.
All right, guys, hopping right into it. Client case study, how my client runs a $500,000 company and has abs. So we're gonna talk a little bit about Steve and his journey of us working together, his starting point, and then kind of the catalyst for change in his life from going from being obese to now having abs. And we're gonna talk about how this impacted his entire life, not just his physical, but his mental and his psyche and his business moving forward. These are a few of my other clients who have transformed their lives using the exact same framework that we integrated into Steve's life. So we got Carlos right here, we got Joe, we got Dean, we got Alex, all busy dudes, all guys who are high capacity. Dean is a president of a news company. Joe owns a production company. So we're talking about people who are busy, people who don't have a ton of time to be spending hours in the gym or wasting their time with ways of doing fitness that aren't efficient, because there are plenty of those, which we'll go into a little bit more later. The unfortunate thing here is that hard work doesn't always lead to results. Looks like I'm covering up that last thing, but let me move this a little bit. There we go. Yeah, so hard work doesn't always lead to results. And that's something that I found over 8 years of coaching, is that for most people, they want to spend a lot of their time on the high priority tasks that exist within fitness, right? If you're just spinning your wheels and you're working hard at something, but you're not seeing any results, it's like the definition of insanity, and you're not going to stick with it. And what that typically means when it comes to fitness is backslides, yo-yoing, and then looking for the next fad to try to get a quick result, which won't last. Moving along here. So a little bit about my background. I am a lifetime natural lifter, so I believe in doing things the healthy, sustainable way. Fitness was something I found as a kid when I would train for sports, right? Like I was always playing sports, and I wanted to train to be strong. I wanted to look better. I wanted to feel better, but I really wanted to perform well too. And I found that fitness was really an outlet for me. It was like my own form of therapy. It became, training and going to go get shots up, going to go get a lift. This was a space where I could focus on this one thing, focus on improving my skills, focus on building myself, focus on pushing myself. And this always led to more mental ease for me. Because I found fitness so early in my life, I decided that when I wasn't going to go to the NBA and become a professional basketball player, I wanted to use my strengths to serve other people. So I went to school to study exercise science. Didn't love school, but I figured if I was going to go and get my 4-year degree, which was a goal for me, I should study something that I love so that I could be proficient at whatever it is that I'm teaching, whatever it is that I'm giving to the world, right? I accidentally became a natural pro bodybuilder. So a few years back, I decided to push myself to compete. Never thought I would compete. Didn't think I had the physique for it. And went to my first natural show, this is tested, so nobody there is taking steroids. You do a polygraph, you piss in the cup, you do the whole nine, right? For the first natural show I did, I ended up winning it, which was a shock to me. And I got my natural pro card. So I'm a natural physique pro. That's something that I'm passionate about and that I'm working towards, getting better at actively. And I became a personal trainer when I was 19, all right? So while I was going to school studying exercise science, I became a personal trainer. I've always been big on just getting my feet wet, doing things, trying to be early to whatever it is I know I ultimately want to do. Even if I suck at it initially, eventually I'll be good. So I became a trainer when I was 19, started becoming a mobile personal trainer. So I trained people online, but I also trained people on the move. I would go to their homes, apartment complex gyms, traveling around the city, training people. So when I was at school at GCU studying to get my exercise science degree, I trained people in Arizona. When I would go home to San Diego in the summer times, I would train there, right? I would build up clientele, then I'd head back to school, build up a clientele, head back to San Diego, right? It wasn't the most efficient way to build a business, but it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about people. It taught me a lot about working with different walks of life. And over that time, over the last 8 years of working with people transformed hundreds of lives. And in 2020, during the pandemic actually, my business hit a point where the pandemic happened and we all didn't know what was going to happen, right? We didn't know which way was up. We didn't know if the world was going to crumble. And in that time, my business got busier than it had ever been before. So much so that being a traveling trainer started to feel like a burden. It was just too much travel time. So in 2020, I opened my first personal training studio, and that's still standing today, and we're killing it there. Oh, and of course, that's my beautiful wife right there. That photo, that's us in Rome. We got to go there this last summer. It was like a dream of a trip. Being in Italy with my wife, it was amazing. There's me at my this was my most recent pro natural physique show. Moving along. Alrighty, so who's this video for? The type of people I like to work with is a specific type of person. My program isn't for everybody. And so this is for somebody who's looking for results for life, not just a season. If you're looking for the next quick fix to get a fast result, though our results are fast, this isn't about quick fixes, this is about changing your lifestyle. If you're looking to lose 20 to 50 pounds of fat while keeping it off in the next 6 months, this is for you. If you're tired of overly restrictive diets that you can't sustain and that lead to yo-yoing, meaning going up and down, gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight, losing weight for the wedding, gaining weight as soon as the wedding's over, right? When it comes to your progress, the yo-yoing, man, it's the worst. This is for you. If you're looking for a data-driven program, this is for you. A lot of programs make their adjustments based off of how you feel. In this program, we make our adjustments based off of data. More on that later. If you're tired of one-size-fits-all programming and you need something that's customized to you and your crazy life, this is for you. Who this is not for. If you're looking for somebody to tell you what to eat and when to eat, this is not for you. If you're looking to cut carbs and massively restrict your calories, again, an unsustainable approach, another fad diet, this is not for you. If you're looking to train 2 hours a day, though there's nothing wrong with that, this probably isn't for you. We cater our programming to high-performing individuals. Now, if you have the time, I'm happy to program you 2 hours a day, but for most people, that's not the most efficient. And if you're an uncommitted person, this should be obvious, it's not for you. If you're somebody who's not interested in becoming the strongest version of yourself, this is not for you. Again, those last two, they should be self-explanatory, but some people overestimate what they're capable of, or they overestimate how much they can commit to things, and they over-leverage themselves. And we don't like to work with people like that. We want to work with people who are committed, people who show up and do what they say they're going to do, because that is the only way you're going to get results. I don't care if you're working the best program in the entire world. If you don't have follow-through, if you don't show up, you're not going to get the results. Fun stat, actually, on our program, the clients who are fat loss clients, we did a recent case study. The people who at least do 50% of the things we program for them, at least 50, that's only half, meaning your weigh-ins, your workouts, your cardio, your reports, the simple stuff, the day-to-day. The people who do at least half of that, in their first 90 days of a fat loss phase, our average client loses 26.2 pounds. So again, it's not a matter of if what we do works. It's a matter of, are you going to show up and give effort to it? Now here's the truth. This might shock you to hear, but fat loss is actually incredibly simple. Most professionals, most fit pros overcomplicate it. They'll hit you with the unnecessary complexities, which are essentially things that are very restrictive in nature or very specific that don't necessarily lead to a result. Okay, a great example of that would be, you have to wake up every single morning and do fasted cardio. It's the way to mobilize fat as fast as possible. Where there might be benefit to doing fasted cardio, it's an unnecessary complexity. What's another unnecessary complexity? Another unnecessary complexity would be something like the ketogenic diet or the carnivore diet, or saying that carbs are bad, or the people who claim that processed food's gonna kill you. We have an approach to training, to fitness, that is about balance. It's holistic. We're looking at the whole you. We're looking at the nuances of your life. And in that, we need to have a balanced approach. We need to have something that's flexible enough to get you a result, but it's also going to allow you to enjoy your life. You can get absolutely shredded while consuming the foods that you love and without spending countless hours in the gym. All right, most are unable to do this because they don't have a clear-cut system that's customized to their life. It'd be like, hey, go to the gym 5 days a week, but you're on a work trip and you're traveling and you're seeing clients, and that just might not be in the cards for you. So we do everything from a coaching perspective that's geared towards those nuances, right? That's going to be a theme that you'll hear a lot throughout this video. Another reason that people are unable to do this, right, while they're unable to get shredded or to make progress while eating the foods that they love and without spending countless hours in the gym, is because they have tried so many times in the past. They've tried different approaches and they've seen success maybe for short, brief stints, but then they failed and they've seen backslides. And what that does over time is it kills your will. It kills your confidence. So it has you stepping into fitness like, man, I've tried this before, and you just have low hopes. Or you kind of project the same outcome you've always had, which is results for the time that you're being super aligned, and then your results slowly but surely dwindle. All right, there's a few reasons for that. Anyways, I don't want that to happen to you, and that's why we're watching this video, right? I don't want you to have to deal with these consistent backslides or this problem that most people have where they're successful for a season but not for a lifetime. So just by watching this video, you'll have a better idea of how to get more aligned with your goals. Most people, when they travel, when the holidays come, or when life gets hectic, they say deuces to their fitness goals. It's bye-bye fitness goals, all right? I'll get back to it in the new year. I'll get back to it when the holiday season's over. I'll get back to it when life isn't so busy. And newsflash, it's never going to be less busy. It's always going to be more busy. My clients, and I'm assuming you, the person watching this video, is somebody who's busy and needs a custom approach so that you never have to pick between enjoyment and progress. You can actually marry the two together. If you're one of these people, I'll show you exactly how to navigate travel, holidays, meals with clients. I'll show you how we helped Steve lose so much weight that his confidence skyrocketed. And this wasn't just because of his physical change. I mean, his business started to elevate and actually grew substantially. His dating life, the risks that he took, all right? When you align with the strongest version of yourself, what you start to do is you start to become the best version of yourself in all settings, not just in the gym, not just in the mirror, but you start showing up for life in a different way that produces different results. And I think that's one of the coolest parts of this. I'll show you how to lose up to 50 pounds of fat in the next 6 months while building lean mass, and how we can do all of this without eating chicken and rice 5 times a day or cutting out any of your favorite foods. All right, here's our big secret. I alluded to this a few times already. Everything we do from a coaching perspective is reverse engineered and tailored to you, all right? So that is step one. Who are we working with? Who are you? We build a relationship with each client because we can't build programming that is specific to you, which is the only way to be effective, without having a relationship and context to your life. That's step one. What is your aim? Once we've established the goal, we incorporate our system into your life, not the other way around. All right, most programs, it's like, hey, here's this overly invasive program, do this. Doesn't take into the account that you run a business. Doesn't take into account the fact that you are a husband, a wife. Doesn't take into account the fact that you have kiddos, okay? So we start there. What is the reality of your life? What is your starting point? Who are you? What does your day-to-day look like? From there, we integrate our program into your life. Make sense? Cool. All right, moving along. So here's the exact system we followed to help Steve lose over 50 pounds and go from being obese to having abs, all while eating a fudge bar every night. He likes to remind me that he ate a fudge bar every night. Proud of you, Steve. Okay, process overview. Step one, we're going to talk about having a goal and a clear aim. Step two, we're going to talk about, so 2 through 4 is the 3 quantifiable metrics in fitness, how we go about tracking those, which is work, weight, and intake. And then lastly, we're going to talk about how we kind of tether all of this together through accountability. Now, let's show you how we stopped Steve from trying another fad diet, because he tried them all, and now we got him results that actually last. Foundational phase, clear aim. All right, where are you going? Who are you? Where are you heading? This is so important. One of the things I've found over the years of coaching is that most people temper their ambitions. Most people don't even have a goal, which is kind of sad. Most people have been beaten down so many times through trying and failing that when you ask them, hey man, what are you looking to accomplish? They can't even formulate what they would actually like to accomplish if there were no limitations. All right, so we start there. It's like, who are you? What do you want to achieve? Don't give me that BS of like, oh, I just want to lose 10 pounds. No, it's bigger than that. It's not even about the physical goal. Who do you want to be, right? Your most actualized form, your 10.0 self. Introduce me to that. What does that look like? Let's build it out together. Let's uncover that, because that will inform the goals that we make and then how we'll build out what we're going to do, all right? So in Steve's case, he had just left corporate America and he always struggled with his weight. He would try the quick fixes. He would try the fad diets. He'd go up and weight and down and weight and up and weight and down and weight. But corporate America pretty much, as a lot of people who have been in that space before, it's tough. Like there's a lot of sitting down, sedentary lifestyle, and if you don't have a nutritional framework, if you don't have like consistency in your life, you'll be so drained that your health will just slowly diminish over time. That's what happens to most Americans. That's why 80% of Americans are either overweight, obese, or severely obese, right? And so he always struggled with his weight, and he wanted to return to his college physique. For him, that was like his pinnacle in terms of how he looked and felt. All right. The other thing is this: he left corporate America to start a business, and he was like, "Dude, I'm not my best self right now. And as an entrepreneur, I need to be my best self to give the most energy to my business. All right. I'm not my most vital self. I'm not embodying it, right? This isn't me. I'm obese right now. This is not who I am." So there was a lapse between how he felt on the inside, the man that he wanted to be, and where he currently was. And when he started to get his results, what was cool is he was like, dude, he's like, I should probably talk to a therapist about this, but fitness is where I got all of my confidence back. That was the catalyst for changing everything, from taking his business to a $500,000 company this last year. Setting clear and honest goals can be difficult. Why? Well, typically it's because, like we talked about before, all the failures in the past. The other thing is it's audacious. If you're overweight and have been your entire life, to say, hey man, I want abs, most people are just gonna laugh at you. But I love that stuff. It's like, get honest with yourself. What would you actually like to achieve if there were no limitations? So we start there. That's the foundational phase. Who are you? Where are we going? Let's build out a system that allows you to get there, okay? Okay, next we got work. So work is how active of a person you are, right? It's pretty simple. It's like your physical expenditure. And a lot of your work, like what you do day to day, it composes your, let's call it work life, your activity, your total physical expenditure. It's important to know, for me, like what does your day-to-day look like? Like how much do you move for work? How many steps do you take per day? How often do you lift at all? Like what is your starting point? A good way to look at work is your total physical expenditure. Some people have very active jobs. I was just speaking to somebody who was they work on the tarmac, like putting bags into the plane. This is a very physically strenuous job. Somebody like that might not need to do quite as much cardio or quite as much dedicated steps throughout the day because they're not sitting behind a desk all day. They're moving and shaking. Now, with work, one of the things that we implement and one of the things that we made sure to do with Steve while he was in his fat loss phase was following a progressive overload model, which essentially means that as you adapt to whatever stimulus you're placed upon or like is placed upon you when it comes to your fitness. So a good example would be if you're squatting 100 pounds right now, then over time we'd want to see that progressively go up. You're squatting 100 pounds for 10 reps. In a month from now, we'd want to move that up to 115, 120, and to 150, to 200. The body adapts, it gets comfortable, and it needs a new stimulus for growth. That doesn't always come with more weight. Sometimes it can come with more frequency, higher volume, more repetitions. There's lots of ways that we could slice this, but if you want to build your physique, if you want to gain muscle, you need to understand progressive overload. You need to make sure that you have an approach to your programming and to your fitness that is progressively overloading over time. All right, weights. So we had Steve weigh every single day that he had access to a scale. Now, most people hate weighing in, all right? They're like, well, why do I need to track my weight that much? Well, The problem is there's like hundreds of things that can contribute to weight either going up or going down. And the reason we have our clients weigh in so frequently is to have several data points. Because what we do is we have you average your weight week to week. This is exactly what Steve did. So you might have some high weigh-ins, some really low weigh-ins mixed in there, because you're going to find really quickly the body fluctuates a ton. Again, for so many reasons, which we don't need to go into. But what we want to see over time, just like you can see right above me here on this chart, when you zoom into that weight loss chart above, you see chaos. Highs and lows, spikes, right? It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. That's the day-to-day. Over time, when you zoom out, you see a trend. If you're overweight right now and you've gained weight 50 pounds over the last 10 years, we see somewhat of a trend over the last 10 years that led to a 50-pound increase. So understanding past trends is just as important as understanding future trends, because if you can start to have the proper inputs, you can get the proper outcome that you're looking for, okay? So that's how we go about weight. We get as many data points as we can throughout the week, and what we do is we average it on a weekly basis, and then we see your rate of change. So let's say you wanted to lose 24 pounds in the next 12 weeks. We know that's 2 pounds a week. In order for us to do that, we need to make sure we're aligning with that pace. How do we know if we're aligning with that pace? Well, we need the data. All right, I love this stuff. Moving along. Intake. All right, let's be honest, this is where most people mess up. This is where most people are lost. And it's really not their fault. Like there isn't a lot of education when it comes to nutrition basics. And if you understand, you start to learn nutrition basics, you'll become a master at bodily transformation because you know what to pay attention to. You don't have to believe in all these different fads anymore. You can actually start to just track your intake and then eat in alignment with the amount of intakes that you need for carbs, protein, and fat, and total calories to get to your goal, okay? So intake is just your calorie consumption. You could be in a surplus, maintenance, or a deficit. If you've been in a deficit for a prolonged period of time, we're gonna see weight loss, all right? It's one of the most simple concepts that is so widely disputed, but the reality is energy balance is you bring in food from the outside, okay? If the amount of energy via calories you bring in from the outside world into your body is more than your system is burning, you will gain weight. You're in a caloric surplus, all right? And if you're bringing in less energy than you are burning, you're in a caloric deficit. And if you're equilibrium or maintenance, then you're bringing in just enough to sustain your current weight. The very cool thing about energy balance is it's neither good or bad. It's only math, all right? It's a math equation. And when we start to collect the data of how much food you're bringing into your system, what types of food, the quality of food, how that food makes you feel, we start to develop a really clear awareness as to where you're going, where you're at, how you got to where you are, and how to change it to get where you want to be in the future. Cool? All right, more on intake. So how many calories are you consuming? The only way we can know that for sure is if you track. In this program, I don't tell you what to eat. You're an adult. You can choose what you'd like to eat. What we do is we give you a nutritional framework that is flexible. So we have you track your food. And people will be like, oh, it's impossible to track accurately. All right, so we track poorly initially. All right, we need data. Over time, just like anything, it's a skill that you will develop and you'll get better at. And so how we build out your diet is based on, okay, what are the foods you enjoy, right? Okay, let's make sure we're incorporating that stuff. It's possible to eat the Snickers. It's possible to eat the burgers, right? It being flexible, okay? It being flexible means that you can sustain it for a lifetime. Because 95% of diets fail. And most of the biggest ones you hear the most about are the ones that people fail on the most. Keto is a great example. I remember when I came into the industry, keto was popping off. It was very popular. And all of the biggest people who represented ketosis and represented the benefits of keto have since retracted their stance. This is when I graduated school like 5 years ago now, 5.5 years ago. Everybody who's repping keto no longer does it. They now incorporate carbohydrates. So it's a great example as to how these diets that people will preach and throw down your throat don't actually work, all right? If the top guys can't do it, then neither can the average Joe. Now, the other thing is we want your nutrition to be nutrient dense. Well, I throw the Snickers up there and the burger. Like, that's not going to be the core of your diet. You can incorporate that stuff, and that's going to help you sustain your diet for a long term. But what happens is when you start tracking the food, you're going to get a really good like awareness of how does this food make me feel? And does this food fit within the macro goals I have for the day? Meaning the carbs, the protein, and the fat, and the total calories. One of the quickest things people will learn is like, they'll track their food. Because when you come in, this is like what we did with Steve. When you come in, I'm just going to tell you to track, right? We're going to start to develop an awareness of what you like to eat and what you typically eat. That's then going to give not only me, but you feedback. You're going to start to understand, okay, man, this is like, I eat 2 servings of hot Cheetos, and that was half my fat for the day, and I'm not even full, and I feel like crap after I eat hot Cheetos, right? You start getting this live feedback, which is really cool. Okay, once we've figured out your work, right? So let's recap real quick. Your work, we're going to reverse engineer and customize something to the realities of your life. One week that might be hotel workouts, because that's all you got. You're at a conference and you got 20 minutes a day to dedicate to fitness. So you might have to do something in your workouts, or you might have to do something in your hotel room. So we build out your work, right? Your workload based on the realities of your life, how much time you have to commit to training. And then from there, we have you track your weight as frequently as you possibly can, ideally 7 days a week. We then average that week to week. That's exactly what we did with Steve to predict how quickly he'd lose weight and to also make sure we were giving him enough fuel to make sure that we were moving in alignment with his goal, but we also weren't moving too quick or too slow, okay? Just that slow and steady, consistent progress. And then lastly, intake. Having we had Steve track all of his food, the good, the bad, the ugly. Then there would be those weekends where it's ugly, man. Like it's you know how it is. Like sometimes it's not ideal. It's not always going to be pristine. And I'm never here as a coach to judge your decision making. I'm here to help aid you in that process. Okay. So with Steve, there'd be weekends that weren't ideal, right? You eat too much junk, drink too much, and your calories are way up. But we have the data. We can course correct, and we can be logical about it. Say you had 1,000 calories over what your goal was for that day, but the scale's 5 pounds up in the morning. You're like, dude, I ate terrible yesterday. I ruined all my progress. We have the data to realize, no, man, it was only 1,000 calories. If that was accurate, it's only 1,000 calories. That's a fraction of a pound. Your weight will equalize over the week, okay? Logic, go figure. You can actually take a logical approach to getting to your dream body, your dream physique. It doesn't have to be emotional. It can be straightforward and it can be practical. Right. And then lastly, we tie all that together with accountability. All right. When we know your starting point, when we have relationship, that then puts me in a position where I'm going to give you the tough love that you need and the accountability systems that you need so that you can get feedback towards that goal. And so that you have, like we all need that. I work with a lot of high performers, a lot of business owners, a lot of people who just have busy, crazy lives, or a lot of people who are leaders in their life. And one of the challenges about being a leader is you don't have a lot of people checking in on you. It can be hard to ask for help. You feel like you need to have it all together. I've experienced this in running a business and just being a trainer. It's like sometimes I struggle in areas, but you don't want to let your people see that, right? And so it's just really, it's pride ultimately that prevents you from asking for help. But we all need it. We're all human beings. So it's okay to ask for help. But in this particular group of people we work with, someone like yourself, right, who's watching this video, being a high performer, it can be hard to ask for help. And accountability is key. There's this accountability study that I love that says that just by having a goal, you're 10% likely to achieve it. If you have a goal and a plan, that goes up to like 50%. If you have a goal, a plan, and you tell somebody, that goes up to 65%. But if you have a goal, you have a plan, you communicate it outwardly, and you have a regular accountability meeting, that goes up to 95%. That's what we tether everything together. And from the accountability that we create in the program, that's exactly what we do. We meet on a semi-regular basis to make sure you're in alignment with your goal. That audacious goal that you set, you're actually working towards, because I'm not going to let you falter off of that. And, Steve, there was a few specific ways that we would check in. We would do our monthly coaching calls. We'd have him do weekly reports where he gets feedback. And I'm tethered to his programming so I could see his day-to-day check-ins. So his weigh-ins, his workouts, his cardio, things like this. All right. And then lastly, I love my community, man. The Limitless community is so strong, and it's just a group of people, whether they're in person or online, who are serious about making change, who are serious about growth, who are serious about having clearly defined goals that they walk towards. And being a part of that, it's infectious, right? It's something I wish I would have had like so much earlier on in life, and something that's so beautiful to be a part of. Everywhere you look around, you see somebody who has every excuse in the world to not be focusing on their fitness, to not be spending time, focusing on how to optimize their nutrition, because they make a ton of money and they got a crazy job and they got a family, but they're still showing up and they're putting in that work. And so when you see that, you're like, if that person can do it, so can I. If that person can have 5 businesses and do it, so can I. If Steve can go from leaving corporate America, starting 2 companies from scratch and make $500,000 a year in a matter of a couple of years, and get to a point where he went from being obese to having abs in the process, so can I. And that's what's really cool. The actual transformation isn't the one that you're looking at on the screen. It was the fact that every area of Steve's life improved because he decided to make this change. He decided to show up for himself in a new way. That propelled his business forward. That propelled his mentality, his psyche, his risk aversion. He started taking more risks because of who he became in the process of day in and day out showing up for himself. So cool. And that's, for me as a coach, one of the most exciting things is seeing somebody come in who's aspirational in their approach, who has the courage to ask for help and the courage to put down a piece of paper to put out in the world who they want to become, or has the humility to be like, I'm not where I want to be right now. And that's not okay, but I'm going to get to a better place. So the actual transformation is who you become in the process, not the physical change or the transformation photo that the world sees and celebrates. It's about the internal attributes that you develop through that process. But now that you understand exactly how this process works, I have an offer for you. If you're an entrepreneur who has let their health slide, if you're a busy professional who has a hard time making it to the gym, if you're a parent who wants your kids to look up to you and admire you, and you're tired of these overly restrictive diets, you're tired of the fads, you're looking to regain your confidence, if you're in need of some accountability and community on your fitness journey, and you want to lose 20 to 60 pounds in the next 6 months while building lean muscle in the process, you can use the link down below to apply for coaching. We'd love to talk to you and see if you are a good fit for the program. Take care, guys. Pretty good, right? Not bad? Do you like that?
Anyways, guys, hope that was helpful for you. Again, if it interests you to get some more information, if you want to see if you're a good fit for the program, you can use the link right below here in the description to apply for coaching, and have a beautiful day. Catch you in the next one. Say bye, Bella.